and that brings up a great
No,
point.
it's because you were asking all the right questions, bro.
Peter Dabrowska, who's over at the Rundown News and was running for Congress, they disqualified his campaign because they couldn't find evidence that he had been in that local state chapter of the Republican Party. Meanwhile, he'd been a registered Republican in other states his whole life. So this is something that we're seeing from the Republican establishment, is this type of we'll use it against the people we don't like, but then for people that we do like, we'll just pretend the policy doesn't exist. And what was very informative about the interview, in addition to the Tuberville thing that we've got, where now this clown is probably going to be elected to Congress unless Sessions can pull off an upset, was we were able to ask him about why he really recused, which this is one of the big things, and I understand as Trump supporters, nobody really understands why on earth Sessions, who has been this great senator for decades, who helped fight back against amnesty, who was hard on immigration long before it was cool, why he all of a sudden apparently turned his back on the president and recused himself from the Mueller probe and allowed 3 years of our country to be largely wasted. And Sessions was able to defend that, thankfully, interestingly, in the video, and I encourage everybody to go to band.video and check it out, see what he had to say.
You know, and the sad thing is they always make this move to protect themselves against the media or whatever it is, like Sessions recusing. You can get the details, like Tom said, the videos at band.video, but they never understand the long-term effects. So they try to appease in the short term, not realizing the long term. If Sessions would have stood with Trump and blocked that illegal Russiagate BS, he would be a landslide victory over Tommy Tuberville. And he would have that feather in his hat, and he would have a ton of energy and support behind him. But because he laid down his shield and sword, now he's kind of a broken duck, a wounded duck, if you will.
I'd say that's pretty much correct in terms of how he looks. And if there is a good reason, he outlined an explanation in our interview, and I encourage folks to go determine themselves whether or not they think that was a good reason. But he should be enumerating this over and over and over again, because President Trump has, I love the guy. I think he's done good things for the most part. I wish he'd fix this corona thing. But he has had a horrible record with endorsements, Owen. I think this is something that you and I have both been extremely disappointed with. And if the president is wrong in endorsing Tuberville, that's one thing. But if the president was wrong in recusing Jeff Sessions in the first place all those years ago, I think that's something that Jeff Sessions needs to be very vocal about. He needs to be unapologetically screaming from the rooftops why he really did the right thing. And he claims that what he did prevented the president from being impeached. So if that's true, I think that we deserve to hear a little bit more of that story. And I'm glad he came on National File to talk about it. It was a great honor.
Well, the president was impeached, but it wasn't while Sessions was involved. So you know, if there's any proof to that, I suppose that it is there. President Trump put out a tweet today, Tom, and again, you know, it's like everything revolves around Trump. I don't really think that way. I just call it like it is. And he's again going on Twitter rants today, Tom. Twitter rant, Twitter rant, Twitter rant, Twitter rant, Twitter rant about Russia, Twitter rant about this. And I get the notification in the tweet, and I read it, and I'm like, okay, so you know all these people committed treason. You're a victim in this. Boy, I wish we had a president that would do something about it. Oh, wait, you are the damn president. I put you in office, damn it. I mean, I don't know what to take from this, Tom, because, hey, we like the fact the president puts that out there, but is it just like fodder for us? I mean, is he ever going to take action?
Yeah, you're gonna fucking do something?
It feels like at times he's projecting weakness, like the series of tweets today where he outlines all of the wrongs that have been done against his campaign, his administration, the country under his watch. And again, like you say, we say, well, we got you to fix this. What are we supposed to do? You're supposed to be fixing the Supreme Court. You're supposed to do Obamacare. This is your job, Mr. President. Why are you telling us about it? So to me, it seems as though he's admitting that he may not be able to fix it, and that makes him look very weak, and it's not something that I hope is true.
Yeah, and I'm almost wondering now, just for a measure of success. Again, I don't think Trump is my enemy, but like, do I have to go anti-Trump to have a victory for America? And I mean, I think Trump is begging people to take action, honestly. And of course, it's Shrimpzilla that powers the entire InfoWars studios, running on that treadmill. And Shrimpzilla is powered by TurboForce from InfoWarsStore.com. He only runs in water that is purified by the water filters at InfoWarsStore.com. And every hour on the hour demands one dropper of Super Male Vitality. Look at that little crustacean go, powering the entire InfoWars studio. All 30 of his legs, each one fighting the InfoWar every day, powered by the supplements at InfoWarsStore.com. Tom Pappert from National File is with us. So, Tom, and guys, have clip 12 just ready to roll for B-roll. So, you've had Black Lives Matter murals, they're calling them. It's officially sanctioned by local government, so they call them murals, and then if you destroy them, it's called vandalism. It's total just left-wing tyranny, left-wing bias. And we've had people go and, quote-unquote, deface them, which, again, is just BS. You're putting street graffiti out there. How is my street graffiti over your street graffiti a crime? Well, it's because it's a two-tier justice system based on politics. But now you have the Black Lives Matter mural near Chicago and defaced and changed to All Lives Matter. Now, just wait. Tomorrow, these individuals will receive a hate crime charge, just like the others that have. And now, Mayor de Blasio takes part in a BLM painting on the street in front of Trump Tower. There's de Blasio, not social distancing, not wearing gloves, painting Black Lives Matter on the streets right in front of Trump Tower. By the way, Trump was the guy who gave free housing to black people. Trump was the guy who let black people and Jews into his country clubs and into his real estate developments. Trump was the guy who got awards for all of the service he did in inner cities for black people. Trump was the guy that funded Jesse Jackson's run for president. Trump was the guy who was recognized for the Rosa Parks Award. Yeah, that Trump. Trump was the guy that invited all the people that were black in America to the White House that supported him. Yeah, that Trump. Yeah, Black Lives Matter, painting that in front of his tower. Real smart. So, I mean, Bill de Blasio, this guy is such a disaster. New York is falling apart at the seams. I mean, I could do a whole 3-hour show on how New York is falling apart at the seams, Tom. And de Blasio's in front of Trump Tower, not social distancing, painting Black Lives Matter on the street.
As you said, Owen, there's something kind of hilarious to this idea that we're going to go and paint Black Lives Matter outside the White House, and that's some kind of epic own against President Trump. We're going to show that Nazi in chief that Black lives really do matter. I mean, you're talking about a guy who for the past 2.5 years has done rally after rally after rally, and I'm not complaining about this, I should note, but he's done rally after rally where he does nothing but go out there and say, we have the lowest black unemployment rate, the lowest Hispanic unemployment rate, the second lowest women's unemployment rate in all-time history. It's the best economy ever. And this is the guy who met with Kanye West, the guy who said he wanted Oprah to be his running mate, and this guy is going to be, what do they think is going to happen? Do they think he's just seething in anger, just about to burst a vessel because how dare you say Black Lives Matter outside my business? That's disgusting. I mean, it's such a joke. And as you said, New York has made great progress over your and my lifetime becoming a safe big city. Now it may be its all-time worst. You're going to soon have criminal gangs running the street as though they don't already, and Bill de Blasio learning how to paint. I must say, as somebody who is descended from painters, I think he has a lot to learn, and perhaps he should start with finger painting. I think that would be more fun for the mayor.
Yeah, you know, it's sad, too, because New York is really one of the coolest places on earth. I don't think I could ever live there, but, you know, decades ago, it was just awful. The crime, the violence, the degradation, everything. Now it's just kind of, well, there's a lot of trash on the streets, but, you know, the crime is way down. It's a safe area. And like you said, now it's just going to hell. I mean, it sucks. I remember going to New York City as a kid with my dad. I guess it was probably during the Giuliani years or right around or right after. And I remember I was just a young kid, and me and my dad would be out on the streets till 4 a.m. And it was the coolest thing ever to me as a kid. I'm a young kid, you know, you're way up past your bedtime, but it's 3 a.m. and all the lights are on and there's noise and there's music, and I can go get a Yankee hat at 2 a.m. in the morning, and I can go get a hamburger. It was like the coolest thing in the world for me. That's going to be gone if it's not gone now. That experience is gone right now in New York. You can't take your kid out in New York City in broad daylight now.
No, not unless you want to be assaulted or mugged or killed. I mean, it's a terrible place to be right now. It's terrifying unless you are somebody like de Blasio, who he has armed guards, he has private security. The NYPD guarding him is not going to lose any of their funding. They're going to be just fine. And this is something that, I mean, this is the left in a nutshell. They ruin the country for the rest of us while they're going to be living fine behind gated communities. And this is something that we see all across the globe, really, when a country decides to embrace the societal rot known as communism, Marxism. This is what happens. We saw it in Brazil, which used to be one of the most prosperous countries in South America, and then because of years of leftist leadership, you now have anybody who's even lower middle class has a wall outside the front of their home to prevent from being beaten, robbed, attacked, murdered, killed, taken hostage, whatever the case may be. This happens all over, and it's what we're going to see here. Anybody with 2 cents to rub together, if this isn't corrected quickly, is going to have to put a 10-foot wall, not on their southern border, but outside the front of their home to keep de Blasio's minions from burning down their house.
You know, that's such a good point about Brazil, and it's so ironic. And that's because I guess the average leftist this has no world experience or understanding of just even current events, let alone world history. It's like you said, Tom, it is a common thing. Heck, even just low-income housing, they have fences with barbed wire. And by the way, they're all electrified, too. They're all electrified. I spent 2 weeks in Brazil. I saw it firsthand. And it's not even a thing. That's just normal behavior for them. Brazilians come to America, they see neighborhoods and houses with pools and, you know, driveways, and they don't see any fences. And they're like, wow, you guys really have a safe, you know, this is really great for you guys here. And Americans just take it all for granted, Tom. They really take it for granted. They take for granted the fact you can go from nothing in this country to having a mansion and not even having to have it protected by a fence necessarily, and they just take it all for granted. They want to burn it all to the ground.
We do take it for granted, and Brazilians, either they see what you said and they say, wow, it sure is safe here, this must be great, or they look at it and perhaps correctly they think, man, you Americans are stupid. You're inviting people to come rob you, kill you, whatever the case may be. Why aren't you protecting yourselves, you idiots? And if things don't change, that outlook is going to be the correct one. I'm going to build a wall, not on the southern border, outside my house.
Yeah, but, you know, the one thing that we have that the Brazilians don't, which is why they had to build the walls, we got guns. Ha! We got guns. Bolsonaro is trying to bring the Second Amendment back to Brazil, by the way, and trying to return Brazil to its former greatness. But, like, Brazil puts out, like, so many engineers and doctors, electric engineers and stuff, a lot of innovation down there. So Bolsonaro is doing good things for Brazil, but they're probably going to try to kill him. They already did once. We were talking about Bolsonaro, Brazil, the last segment with Tom Pappert, still with us from the National File. And I just saw this posted by the Gateway Pundit. Bolsonaro, to those who cheer against hydroxychloroquine, I regret to inform you I am doing well, announces Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro. And by the way, I mean, look, the whole COVID thing with the tests and everything, most of it's fake. There is a real man-made virus that is infecting and killing people, but, like, who knows if you really have it, folks? You know, who knows if the test is accurate?
The average age of the person who died in my state is 79 years old of COVID-19.
Asymptomatic, as far as I'm concerned. And I'm sorry, real quick, guys, did you say the video's ready? Okay, thank you. The other thing that I just saw, and this is the thing I'm just so sick of, man, because, look, I don't even care. This is the free market. I am a free marketer. Well, I just went off on a different tread. I'm going to stop myself right now. I'm a free marketer. So when I see that Discover, the credit card company, is giving $5 million to black-owned restaurants, only black-owned restaurants, $5 million, I don't care. Hey, fine, this is a free market. Give it to turtle sanctuaries for all I care. My point is this. To sit here and act like black people don't get advantages in America is just ludicrous. The free market has done everything to help black people, and that's fine. That's the beauty of the free market. Almost $1 billion to Black Lives Matter, the NFL giving $500 million, Discover giving $5 million, all the donations, all of it, the Floyd family making $20 million, which, by the way, folks, oh my gosh, this should be like story number one. I'm not even covering it. It's not even on my desk. The transcripts and the body cam just came out from the George Floyd incident. Folks, George Floyd was literally overdosing, foaming at the mouth, like seizing up, banging his head on the car window, went into like convulsions, asked the police to take him out of the vehicle and lay him down on the ground so he could lay down. And it all just came out with the body cam and the transcript, and no one's even talking about it. I'm not even talking about it. I mean, Tom, I just threw a bunch at you. It's just like, it's just crazy. It's just sheer.
Isn't that fucking mind-blowing?
Yeah, you did throw a bunch at me. I hadn't had a chance to review that yet. I heard it came out. I didn't know how insane it was, but really, I mean, the fact that we're not talking about this just shows.
This is why I love fucking Owen Schroyer.
I mean, it never really did, let's be honest, but at least it had something to do with police brutality for the first, I don't know, 30 hours. Now it's about systemic racism and tearing down Mount Rushmore. I mean, that's where we've gone, and I do have to say, I will commend Discover for actually doing something to help black people, whether or not that will. I don't know if free money is helpful or not, but it's better than what they've been doing and what all credit card companies have been doing and why they love Joe Biden so much, which is they go and they get black people to get credit cards at high interest rates, and then they're not able to pay their high interest rates, so then they end up, it's all just a debt predatory system with people like Discover. That's why Al Sharpton,
that's how they set it up,
the payday loans guy for many years. I mean, these disgusting people and companies that are now coming out and prostrating
Al the race pimp Sharpton
are the very same people who have been victimizing blacks for decades, centuries in some cases. So it's all rather comedic, but I just have to say, Owen, I am relieved that we can all, this is to me tacitly admitting this has nothing to do with George Floyd. This isn't about that man's death. It's not about the drugs. It's not about the police. It's about destroying America. It's about a Marxist revolution, destroying this country. And as Ilhan Omar.
And don't forget, all of the money donated to the BLM is going straight to the Democratic Party. Look that up.
Said, and AOC has echoed, and the squad all seems unified in believing it's about destroying America and rebuilding it to be whatever it is they want.
Because BLM and Antifa are the military arm of the Democratic Party. Look that up too. They're the brown shirts, the Bolsheviks. Look that up.
Yeah, I mean, hey, look, I'm glad that Discover just gave $5 million to black restaurants. Probably good restaurants, probably good food. Like, you know, if they were about to go out of business in your local area, now they're going to be around. So, again, it's not even a bad thing. It's just to sit here and be like, oh, all black people are the victim and they are so oppressed in this country. What more can people do? And it's literally just no reparations. That's what they're calling for. But let's get that aside, because, again, I don't even like talking about this racial identity BS. It's just I have to cover the news. 90% of Americans, whether you're black or white or anything in between, don't care about race. They're not even thinking about it on average. But here's another example. And you know what? I'm ashamed to call Austin, Texas, my current home. I really am. I'm ashamed. This city is a joke, man. This city council, this mayor, and now this governor, pathetic. And I'm not attacking the people of Austin, but man, the fact that we don't have 50,000 Texans at the state capitol with guns, taking it over, making our own autonomous zone, saying, no, we're free, is it's just Texas, you know. But in St. Louis, when the Black Lives Matter mob show up to tear down our statues in my hometown, and they show up in front of the King Louis statue, guess what? St. Louisans are there every damn night, every damn day, praying. And they haven't torn the statues down, and they haven't defaced the monuments. Shocking how that works when people actually protect them. And it's not the police, by the way. Just citizens.
But you have to understand, there's a lot of fucking California faggots escaped California after they destroyed it and came to my great Austin, Texas, the greatest state, the greatest fucking city in Texas, and destroyed it and shit all over it.
Most of it's Catholic priests. So here's a video. Just this happens every day. Catholics and people in St. Louis go out to the King Louis statue and others. The King Louis is the famous one at Art Hill. Beautiful, scenic Art Hill, the art museum, the big statue. I mean, it's awesome. If you're in St. Louis, it's part of your culture growing up. And so here's a BLM versus Catholic priests praying over the statue, either from this afternoon or yesterday. Guy just blowing an air horn in people's ears, a Black Lives Matter protester. And then he elbows a woman in the head and claims that she attacked him.
You in that cross. You in that cross is going to get their butt whooped.
And threatens a woman.
I'm going to show you save and sanctify. Don't ever, don't walk up on me like that again. Move. You better move.
So, again, you know, I'm more proud to call St. Louis my hometown than I am Austin right now where I live because, you know, most people in Austin are just laying down to this. They're not in St. Louis, but, I mean, Tom, isn't that just a perfect example of what everything they're doing is? This guy shows up to a prayer event, blows his bullhorn in everybody's face, elbows a woman in the head. It's all on tape, by the way. If you're just an audio listener, we played the tape. Elbows a woman in the head, then threatens the woman, saying, "I'll beat your butt," and then just goes back to blowing it and then threatens another guy. I mean, this is, they come out here, they disrupt, they destroy, they're rude, they attack, and then they cry victim. I'm sick of it.
It was almost hilarious to watch that because you knew what was going to happen. You knew that the guy. It's comical at this point. They push you down and then they cry like you're choking them out. That's what the left does. I was going to say Black Lives Matter, but it's really the left's trick. Trump wants to debate Biden. Biden says, no, I can't debate a racist. I can't debate somebody who hasn't released his taxes. Why are you asking me to do such a thing? How dare you? That's evil. I'm sad. I'm scared. And he goes back to his basement. This is what they do. But I do have to say, I love the Midwest. I love real America because the man who got between that very strange, very musical sounding protester with the bullhorn, with the can of air, whatever you call it, you got in between him and the woman who he was assaulting. I do have to say things like that restore a little bit of faith in society and the fact that this happens. I mean, this is what America is really all about, standing up against insanity, standing up against tyranny, standing up against the will of the mob. And that guy, everybody there is a hero, but that guy specifically is a hero because he's standing up against the mob individually to a person who is assaulting people. I'm pretty sure prior to all this, though, and 3 months ago, before Black Lives Matter ran the country, it was illegal to make that much noise.
No, that's actually an assault. No, that's considered assault, actually. But let's do a quick role play here, Tom. I'm a Black Lives Matter or an Antifa liberal, all right? So, hey, get out of my way. I want to tear down that statue, and I want to burn it. Get out of my way, Tom.
And am I
get out of my... Oh, stop choking me! Stop! He's choking me! I can't breathe! He's choking me! He's choking me! I'm a victim! Oh my God! We're all turtles today. We all stand together as turtles from Turtle Island. All right. Tom Pappert with me for another segment. I've got a video I want to play, some other news. This is just coming down the pipeline right now. Catherine Herridge. Judge Sullivan asks entire D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals to review previous order, forcing him to dismiss General Flynn case. Sullivan lawyer Wilkinson's 69-page filing reads, in part, the panel's decision threatens to turn ordinary judicial process upside down. And she's been all over the crimes committed against General Mike Flynn. So, folks, whoever is behind all this, Obama, whoever is behind all this really doesn't want General Flynn on the playing field. I mean, they really don't want Flynn on the playing field. It's like this old movie, Celtic Pride. If you've ever seen this movie, Celtic Pride, these big Celtics fans, oh, man, I forget how it goes. I forget who it was, but they literally kidnap the best player on the other team to keep him off the court so that the Celtics can win the championship. That's what this is. They're kidnapping Flynn. They're kidnapping Stone. They're kidnapping Alex Jones because they don't want us on the playing field. So whoever is running this to keep Flynn off the playing field, Obama, is really desperate that this information doesn't get out. And this judge is clearly corrupt as the day is long. All right, now, Tom, I want to play this video that has just surfaced of Joe Biden. This is so unbelievable. So the video is going viral because Joe Biden refuses to answer any questions. But I want to play the video, Tom, and I want to see if you notice a couple other things in this video that are just so indicative of who Joe Biden is and just how big of fraud just everything surrounding Biden and this COVID is. Here's the clip. So here's Biden on the street talking to people. He's got his mask on. It's going to fall off his face, and then he's going to take it off. But listen closely to what he says here.
Wow, you're making my day. Pardon me? Yeah. Well, thanks. Thanks. Who's that beautiful babe? Naya. How old?
He goes, what's that? Who's that beautiful thing? How old is she? He can't stop hitting on children.
Next time, hopefully without a mask, okay?
Now he's about to take his mask off.
I love you, Ed. Thank you.
And so the reason the video is going viral is because the reporter goes, hey, Joe, can we ask you some questions? And he literally says, no questions. He's in there taking his mask on and off. But Tom, I mean, literally, like, I see a video, I'm like, oh, here's Joe Biden making a public appearance, taking his mask on and off, refusing to answer questions. Of course he's asking how old a girl is right there in the crowd. It's like, I mean, you can't even make it up. There's literally so much footage of Joe Biden hitting on young. I don't even know what to say. The guy is a damn Chester child molester, man.
It would be funny if it wasn't so horrifying to think about, but it is hilarious to think Joe Biden finally comes up from the basement. He's pale. He hasn't showered in 6 weeks. He's dirty. He's gross. He's and what's he do? What's he? Oh, look at that one. How old's that one? I like that little girl. How old is she? Get her over here. That's his first
Yeah, like he
thought.
literally thinks like he's at like a street market, and he's like, yeah, that's some meat I want.
And it's, again, the first thing that enters his head apparently after leaving the basement is, there's a little girl, I want her. It's bizarre, but this is as you've said, and as we all know, as anybody with a pulse and a brain knows, this is a pattern with Biden. But when he first started his campaign, believe it or not, there was a time when he wasn't the presumed nominee. When he first started his campaign, multiple women came out, of course, and said these are adult women, not children.
Yeah, Tara
Reid.
Reid.
He made them feel uncomfortable with this is even before that with the hair sniffing and everything else and the fondling of the hair. And Biden did a little video on Twitter and said he's going to do better, and he understands that the world has changed and people don't want to have the same type of personal contact that they did in years previous. The very next day, Owen, he went up to an African-American girl, probably 7 or 8 years old, at a rally back when he was still having them, and he'd get 20 or 30 people, and he goes over and he fondles her face, and he's saying how cute she is and how pretty she is. So Biden cannot help himself. It is like a dog in heat. He cannot help himself.
I honestly, like, folks, here's what it's like. It's like everybody's probably witnessed this or even had the great-great-grandfather or something that will say just extremely inappropriate things at the dinner table or just, sitting around having conversation because they're just not all there. They don't have their full cognition, and so they just, they're just not thinking clearly, and they're not analyzing the situation, and things just come out of their mouth that they should have never said. And, the family's just like, oh, okay, or it's like, the scene in Wedding Crashers when the grandma makes the racist comment, it's stuff like that. But with Biden, it's like literally the guy is so attracted to children. He literally just thinks that he can go out there. It's like a meat market. I mean, Tom, just on this campaign alone, during 2 town hall / rallies, he's literally hit on young girls. One, he asked to come backstage with him after the event. He goes outside of that truck. He says, ooh, how old's that one? I mean, he sniffs babies. He was literally on the campaign sniffing a baby, like getting high off of it. I mean, it's sick. And it's like, they don't even, but I mean, think about the blatant, I don't even know what to call it, that they put this guy out there. They put him out there. He's doing this right for everybody to see.
Oh, and this is beyond just the recent mental faculties potentially failing. A few years ago, Biden was meeting Bloomberg, I believe, his youngest daughter, who is, I guess, an equestrian. She's very good at horse racing. Not much to do with the family. Good for her. And what he does is he picks up the Bloomberg's grandchild, this woman's daughter, or this woman's child, and he takes the pacifier out of the baby's mouth, puts it in his, and then puts it back in the baby's. I mean, this is Joe Biden. Biden. This is the scandal, the weird thing. Now we're all talking about, he doesn't want to do debates. He doesn't want to do media. He's not taking questions. I'm with you, Owen. I never got past the whole, why does he touch children? Why does he say that they're all beautiful and gorgeous? Why does he say, oh, no, not until you're 18 or whatever? I mean, when did we move past this scandal? When did we decide the creepy, touchy-feely Joe was not the one to go with, and instead it's, he's just afraid to debate Trump? No, I mean, I'm sure he is afraid to debate Trump, but these poor children, I care a little bit more about. It's just weird. I mean, even if there is nothing malicious happening, that could be the case, and it's just a creepy old man who likes to touch children's face and compliment them on their looks. Wouldn't that psychologically scar a child, or at least leave them wondering what that was all about?
Or if he's really just like the old grandpa that, like, they claim, he just touched it, then he's not damn presidential material. But it doesn't even matter. It's just, that's the incredible thing about it. But like you said, it's like, I just see the video pop up on my news feed, and it's just like Joe Biden refuses to answer a question. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to watch this. I'm going to see how Joe Biden, gets around asking a question. And of course, just right there, ooh, that's a nice young girl. How old is she? It's like, Joe, you're not on Epstein Island at the meat market where you pick what's, little kid you want to diddle. Like that, but he's not even with it fully. He literally thinks, the whole world, hey, I'm at a rally. Ooh, that's a cute young girl. How old are you? I'm 7. Hey, come backstage with me afterwards. Literally.
I mean, he thinks he's the Beatles, except instead of going after, 17, 18, 19-year-old girls, he seems to be going after 7, 8, 9-year-old girls. It's very peculiar, and it's something that just doesn't get any attention. I guess it's politically incorrect to point out that the presumptive Democrat nominee has a lot of very weird, touchy-feely experiences with little girls. I guess that's politically incorrect. It's a horrible thing if you say that all lives matter, but to point out that a man engages in lewd behaviors or sexually suggestive behaviors, we'll say, with small children, that's not right. You're not allowed to point that out, Owen. That's incorrect. Meanwhile, of course, we have a president in the Oval Office who the left has done nothing but excoriate for the past several years based on totally phony, bogus allegations that do not have names. There's no video. There's no proof he did anything untoward with any women, let alone on Epstein Island, let alone on Lolita Express, let alone on video, joebiden.info, and you see 50 different clips of him fondling little girls. And he is routinely called a rapist. It's hilarious if you're looking at it from the outside. If you're living in America, it's depressing.
Yeah, and again, the Me Too March won't talk about Tara Reade or any of Biden's, follies and weird stuff with women and children. But, they'll make stuff up about Trump all day long. And that's what they go with. And it just shows how it's not even about the women. It's not even about the truth. It's not even about justice for women or victims or anything like that. It's just all about get Trump. And by the way, they are right now weaving their plan, concocting their plan on how to distract or deflect all this Epstein Island stuff that's about to come out with Maxwell and everything. They are doing everything they can. They're about to point that gun at Trump. They're gonna put Trump's face all over this. It's not gonna be about the Hollywood actors. It's not gonna be about past politicians or people going there. It's gonna be all Trump, folks. They're getting ready for that right now. Tom Pappert, National File. Thanks for joining us today. All right. So just to get out ahead of this, whatever is gonna come out with Ghislaine Maxwell and everything that's already out with Epstein, they're trying to deflect and aim at Trump. Of course, it's illegitimate. And so Trump was with Epstein, obviously. Yeah, there's videos of them. Yeah, they had contacts. There's no doubt about that. They don't have any blackmail on Trump. That's why he's not in the club. That's why they hate him. Trump doesn't do drugs. He doesn't drink. So he's never been vulnerable or susceptible to their machinations. But they're getting ready to, I'm telling you, they're putting all the pieces, they're putting all the dots on the board, and they're getting ready to aim this gun at President Trump. And I don't know if he's ready for this. I don't know if he's going to go along with it. He's going to fight back against it, but I'm already seeing it. And this is just one example from Business Insider. There are 1,500 people in Jeffrey Epstein's little black book. Now you can search them all for the first time. Well, again, you could already do that. We already did that live on the show. We had Leo Zagami on who did it live on his show. So, but now, again, they're aiming it all at Trump. So he's going to be on the front page. You notice, and on this graphic, they have him circled even. And then a couple other people, which means they're probably not as bad as the rest. That's why they circle them and not the rest. But, like, for example, wasn't Naomi Campbell, she was the one really doing a bunch of mask stuff on her Instagram account, really first pushing the mask, wasn't she, guys? You remember that? Pretty sure that was Naomi Campbell. So that just kind of gives you a hint. And then there's Charlie Rose, the disgraced news reporter for all of his philandering, and the rest of them. The point is, look, something's going to come out with the Ghislaine Maxwell stuff. I don't know if it's going to be as big as we want. I don't know if, but they're obviously prepping for the worst and hoping when it comes out that they can put it on Trump. Yeah, there's Naomi Campbell. So she's blackmailed, she's bought and paid for. Who knows what they have on her? But she's out there like first person going viral on Instagram wearing hazmat suits at the airport and all this crap. Please. So just get ready for that, folks, because they're going for it. It's crazy as it sounds, believe me. That's how this is going to go. Trump can decide to fight it or not. And then again, Glee actress. Oh, there's Naomi Campbell with Maxwell. Oh. Probably come out that Naomi Campbell's a man or something. Glee actress Naya Rivera missing, feared dead. 4-year-old son found alone on boat. So just a weird development there. And then this is wild. I'm just a little twisted and confused about this. The headline from the Hollywood Reporter today. The band Lady A, which is formerly Lady Antebellum, but then they changed it because of George Floyd. I know it doesn't make any sense, folks. Don't try to make sense of these people. But formerly Lady Antebellum, now the Lady A, files lawsuit against singer Anita Lady A. White. On June 11th, the band announced it was dropping the name Antebellum from its name after reflecting on the Black Lives Matter movement in an effort to be more inclusive. Nobody even would know why, and they don't either. But so then they changed it to Lady A. I'm a little confused about this because if I remember correctly, when they changed it to Lady A, this girl, Anita White, Lady A, she already was Lady A, and she sued them. So now how are they countersuing? In fact, is Savannah back there? Do you remember this? Will you come on air for 30 seconds? Am I right about that? When they changed their name, didn't Lady A, the real original Lady A, sue them? I remember you were covering this. See if we can get a mic.
Don't exactly remember. Sorry, I was talking to Brandon, our guest coming up. I don't exactly remember, but I do know that Lady A was a black singer, and they stole her name. I don't know if she had sued them or not, but yeah, this was a name that they actually had already previously stolen, so...
So, I mean, think about the audacity of these people, who are white, by the way. They steal the name Lady A from a black singer and then sue her. I mean, what the hell, man? Cancel Lady Antebellum.
When I call your name, don't forget to unmute. Owen
Yes, I'm here.
Go ahead, you have 2 minutes.
I hope y'all are having fun playing tyrants up here. The disregard that this city council has for its citizens is obvious and concerning. And this wannabe authoritarian Mr. Ascot and his totalitarian rhetoric is quite frankly offensive. But this mask mandate, which is not legal, first we're told by the Surgeon General not to wear masks. We're told by Fauci not to wear masks. We're told by the CDC not to wear masks. They even have this on their website. What happened to that? The mask does not even stop COVID. That's science. So why are you telling us to wear it? The boxes that the masks come in say it does not stop COVID. Why are you telling us to wear it? In fact, the mask has negative health effects. Bacteria grows on the mask. You breathe in toxic levels of carbon dioxide when you wear the mask. For the sake of time, I'll spare you the details, but you can find this. It's out there. It's very well known. Now, first, when we had to shut down months ago and stay home, what were we told? Oh, this is a deadly virus. We need to stay home. Well, we now know that it's less deadly by the numbers than the seasonal flu. And how is Ascot earlier saying that we just ignore the math? Oh, the math doesn't matter. What is this, 1984? No, the math does matter. This is that deadly. The numbers are wrong. This is as bad as the seasonal flu. So everything we're talking about should be null and void right now. Should we be shutting down and treating life this way for the seasonal flu every year? Have we been living wrong the whole time? Is this the new normal? And this whole thing about cases being up, well, why are cases up? Because everyone's getting tested. This is common sense. You could test everyone in the city for herpes, and herpes cases would be going up as well. Would you have a national shutdown and tell people to stop going out? And by the way, the tests are not even 100% accurate. That is also known. So who knows what the real really are?
Thank you very much, Mr. Schroyer.
So then they cut me off. This was after they made me wait for 2.5 hours, folks. They had, not just me, by the way. In fact, there were healthcare providers workers were waiting too that had to go, and they were just ranting in the little digital waiting room, and then they got kicked out because there's a little tyrant, poor girl who just gets told what to do, saying, hey, keep your phones on mute. You're not allowed to talk. I'm not even kidding you, folks. And and they cut us down from 3 minutes to 2 minutes. They made us wait for 2.5 hours on hold when they said we could talk at 11. It ended up being about 1. So just total second-class treatment. And just to add to it, because the two things I couldn't get to here, nobody's talking about the negative effects of shutting down the economy, which are worse than COVID, just like wearing the mask is worse than not wearing the mask. And then the ultimate point, that if I would have had my proper time that they took from me, and they really don't care about me anyway, I would have said, this is a free country. I should have started with that, looking back in hindsight, saying, hey, this is a free country. I'm a free man. You can't make me wear a mask. Now, Brandon Gray is with us from justanotherchannel.com, and you were tuned into this, restreaming this on your channel as well. Plus, you were out there last night at the Police Lives Matters versus Black Lives Matter rally, but we'll get into that next. And you also have these cards. They may be available on your website. I'm not sure. I haven't asked you. We can get into that, too, and then your T-shirt that you've made family-friendly here for the War Room today. But talk about, from listening and hearing everything that happened on that city council meeting today, talk about, what you thought about listening to that.
Well, there was a trove of propaganda. They made sure to get a good 2.5, 3 hours of what they wanted to say in before any of the callers called in. And one of the things I was so proud of is, as opposed to the most recent city council meeting that I streamed on justanotherchannel.com, where every caller was some kind of operative from, Latinx Coalition and blah, blah, blah. Every caller that called in when you called was in unison with you, except for that one. Everyone was bright.
Who was clearly scripted, by the way.
Right.
Anybody who calls in and gives half their time to naming and praising the city council members is not a real caller.
And I was just so proud to hear that. Every caller, I was like, yes, that's a real American, And
it was actually worse in the digital waiting room. Because people were pissed. They were like, hey, man, I got families. Hey, man, I got a job. Hey, I'm a doctor. I got to get back to my patients. And they just don't care. And that's the truth. They really don't care. It's all about them getting their way, them getting their message, them dominating you. And I've never seen, of all the times I've dealt with this city council and this corrupt mayor and city council, I've never seen it so blatant in our face that they could not care less about the citizens of this city. All they care about is their agenda.
Well, and that would be my question to you, with your experience in these meetings. What do you think will come of having even every caller just, bulldozing them with facts? What do you think will come of that?
Well, I don't even think it matters. I think what really matters here is that they can pretty much just ignore it. Now that it's digital, they have full control. So instead of, I was talking about earlier with Dan Lyman, instead of me being actually in Mayor Adler's face, where normally he would go hide in the back while I was speaking, or in Mayor Nuremberg's face when I got removed, they didn't social distance and they threw me out, booing him. Now they have the ability to censor citizens. Now they have the ability to censor their city hall in live time. So, like you said, they just assume, okay, if we put out a video that's 5 hours long, they're only going to watch maybe really the first 10 minutes, but are they going to watch past 2 hours? Probably not. They're only going to get the propaganda. They're never going to hear from the citizens. You can tell by the way the mayor dismisses the people that call in, like, okay, your time's up, bye. Like he didn't even listen. They don't listen.
They even hung up on one or two of them. You could hear the
click.
You could hear it go silent. Yeah.
So I mean, to me, this new way they have of doing this digitally, which you've been restreaming at Just Another Channel, is just it's empowered them. It's empowered them to feel even more in control and even more, I guess free is the right word, but just in control to censor people, be in control of the atmosphere. Because I could show up at city council with 50 people that walk in with me and agree with my message and cheer me on or boo when I say something, whatever the case may be. Now that it's digital, you can't do that. They have full control over it. And they were in the digital waiting room. If we dared talk to one another, they literally had a girl come on and say, silence your phone or you'll be kicked out. So it's like now they're even controlling just conversation between citizens in the gallery.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is what's not empowering to them is I restreamed their Joe Biden's fundraiser with Barack Obama. And I've had people commenting on the video saying, wow, thanks for restreaming this. You can't find it anywhere online because it was totally embarrassing to them. Joe Biden was falling asleep when Barack Obama was speaking. Joe Biden replied to a canned caller. They had pre-recorded videos and Joe Biden's like, oh, you're a nurse, aren't you? And
he knew, all right. He read the script.
It was a train wreck. So restreaming some of these things has turned out to be real advantageous in the truth movement because you really get to see this and you get a picture of it. We get to keep that,
But think about it too, because you're a perfect example of this. You went to a Joe Biden rally. You shouted down. You dominated that rally. Biden had no energy. You had more energy. You had more gravity than Biden. You won the day. So they don't want that. That's part of this other thing that they like about this whole digital atmosphere. They don't have to send Joe Biden out to a rally where a real person might show up and say, hey, what's up with Tara Reid? Hey, why are you sniffing kids? That's another thing they like about this digital thing. Now they literally don't have to deal with us.
Yeah, now they just have them falling asleep online.
And most people won't even watch it, or they'll just erase the video.
So go to justanotherchannel.com, look for that Joe Biden fundraiser. There it is with Barack.
And Biden literally is head nodding.
It's a joke.
And by the way, like, it's not because he's worked hard. Believe me, he doesn't work that hard, if at all. All right, when we come back, let's talk about this card that you've made. And is it available on your website?
Well, I've been mailing it out upon request. If you email me, I don't want to necessarily charge for them. Anyone can make these.
Okay, we will talk about that and then the rally last night as well with Brandon Gray from JustAnotherChannel.com. We will be right back. We're back on the InfoWars War Room is Raw, brought to you by InfoWarsStore.com. A message is resonating. It's on Brandon Gray's shirt. F your mask. It was on the Dan Bongino show yesterday, which made national headlines. You can take your mask mandate and shove it right up your ass. Dan Bongino vows to defy mask order. And actually, well, I listened to the broadcast, and Dan Bongino did vow to defy the mask order, but he also said he would wear a mask if he had to go into a store or stuff. Anyway, I love Dan Bongino. I want to be clear. I'm not attacking Dan Bongino. I'm glad to see that this attitude is going far and wide. I'm glad to see Dan Bongino has the power to make headlines when he says, take your mask and shove it up your ass. Because here's the thing. Brandon Gray and Just Another Channel isn't going to make those headlines. When Owen Schroyer said it a month, 2 months ago, to take your mask, moisten it, twist it sideways, and shove it up your candy ass, nobody reports on it. So I'm glad Dan Bongino can make national headlines. I love Dan Bongino's show now. It's one of my favorite shows. So I'm glad to see this message is resonating. The problem I have is I feel like we're not unifying it and amplifying it enough, Brandon. Instead, we're just kind of picking up, oh, here's a guy that kind of rebels. Oh, here's a guy over here in Walmart that kind of rebels. Oh, here's, the girl throwing out all of her groceries who kind of rebel. This is a national phenomenon of people that are not going to be slaves, free men and women who understand that the mask is bogus and BS. It's not just Dan Bongino. It's not just a woman at a store. There's millions of us. And that should be the story, but they don't tell it that way.
Yeah, and whatever your level of comfortability is will dictate how you react when you're told to put on a mask. I went to a Mexican food restaurant in the town that I live, and I walked up to the hostess station. I'm like, one, please. She goes, well, you have to have on a mask. And the reaction, I looked at her like, and I said, well, how come they're not wearing their masks? There's people eating,
Right.
And she's like, well, they're eating. And I'm like, well, I'm here to eat. And I just went and walked to the table. Guess what came next? The chips, the salsa.
And you ate.
Oh, heck yeah. I have yet to put on a mask, and I refuse.
Who was it? I can't remember who it was. I was talking the other day, and like how we can get around this is like if you just walk around with like a drink and a straw and just have it right by your mouth the whole time. As soon as someone tells you, who was it? It was Damani. I have another story about Damani. But yeah, Damani was like, no, here's what we can do. Damani Felder, friend of the show, he was like, just walk around with a water bottle or a glass and a straw, and as soon as someone tells you to put on the mask,